and unity of the country. Over the years, from issues of restructuring called by regions across the country until recently, where the North is taking a stand to say, yes, let's go for restructuring, and defining how it should be, to issues of the hashtag NSAS protest, which also took another stage of division, where the Northern Governors Forum, through its chairman, actually made clear the stand of the Northern Governors, saying, yes, there may be reports or pockets of police brutality, but the North is in support and will be in need of that unit of the police, the SAS. Also looking at the movement itself, or the protest that turned violence, to issues of likely a regime change or plots, if you like. Then recently, serious concern over the controversy generated over the ownership of Zamfara gold, where it's said for the states, or is it for the states or for the federation, and as it has been for crude oil in the Niger Delta region. Looking at all these issues, widening the gap.
Right, Mr. Joe, let me start bottom top. That is to say, I want to start with the issue of the Zamfara gold, and then the oil, if you like. All such natural resources are if you look at the Nigerian Constitution, they're under direct legislation and control of the federal government, not under the control of the state government. The state can only be
like we have for the oil,
like you have
and
for
the 13%.
Exactly. Now, the only challenge I think that is there now is that the gold in Zamfara has not been properly harnessed. The government has not, the federal government, which is supposed to come fully into full force in ensuring that what needed to be done is being done about that gold in Zamfara. I think the government has not really weighed in the way I feel it should weigh in. That was why, to an extent, Zamfara State feel as if they are beginning to assume that they have certain level of power over that. If you remember, not too long ago, the Zamfara State Governor, took a sample of those gold to the president and presenting to the president to tell him that this is what we have in Zamfara, this is how good it is, and then giving him the value and then the possible quantity that might be, on earth in Zamfara, and for how long it can be harnessed and be used, and how beneficial it could be to Nigeria if properly managed and put into use. I guess, by my own perception, by so doing, the Zamfara State Governor is indirectly calling the attention of the federal government to make them understand that we have this deposit of gold in our state, and the federal government need to weigh into it and to see that it has become what it's supposed to be. By extension, if you do that, the Zamfara State Governor or government will benefit from it, just like the other oil producing states.
Let me draw your attention. Even though the Zamfara gold, there have been reports that have been exploited by greedy citizens, before now. Also, questions are still being asked over the constitutionality of the action of the governor himself by striking an agreement with the CBN to exploit in the areas of boosting the mining sector under the Anchor Borrower Scheme, which is like just like the agricultural sector, which falls between the purview of the Apex Bank. The bank will invest the sum of 5 billion naira for the state to supply it with gold as a proceed of the investment over time.
Very good.
And since then, there have been a lot of agitations and reactions. Even the militants of the Niger Delta are saying for years, it is also time to take ownership.
That's why I said, very good. You see, again, I will go back to what I said earlier, Mr. Joe. I said this Zamfara State governor or government, even though seeing that that gold is within Zamfara State, and then feel to an extent the governor or the government is assuming, I said this earlier, they are assuming as if this thing is from their state and they feel they have certain level of power or control over it. But by taking that into the president and presenting it to the president is, I said earlier, is an indirect way of telling the president that we have this gold in our state and we have it in so quantity, and it means the federal government is supposed to weigh in, because constitutionally, if we are talking constitutionally,
and we understand the minister also visited that area, Minister of Mines, but not too clear how well the government has intervened or cleared the air on this issue.
I think there's a communication gap between the Ministry of Mines and Power, if you like, Mines and Mines and Steel, and then with the state government, as well as that of the CBN. The CBN has it's a financial institution that could support with money to harness and bring out whatever deposit that we have in the country. That is under the, like you call it, the Anchor Borrower program. It is a program designed by the CBN to assist in providing opportunities for the less privileged or the lower income earners, or if you like, the small business earners, so that they can grow up their business. So looking at the deposit or contribution of CBN to the harnessing of the gold, you cannot just fault CBN for doing that, because it is a project, it's a program that CBN is going into agriculture. For example, if you take Kaduna State, where you have ginger, you know, and then the CBN is coming in to say, okay, we are contributing to ginger farming and development in Kaduna State, we are contributing so thing. That does not necessarily mean that CBN is taking over the activities of ginger in Kaduna State, or it's taking over the activities of gold mining in Zamfara State, or even any other state that is giving this Anchor Borrower arrangement thing. But the issue is, like I said, there is a communication gap. The Federal Ministry of Mines and, if you like, Steel Development should have come up to say, okay, we have, if you remember, in the first 4 years of the Kaduna State Governor, Amal Nasir Ahmed Rufai, he mentioned that there's a high gold deposit in Brunungwari axis of Kaduna State that is even more than that of South Africa and Ghana. He said so. And then he called on the federal government to come and harness that to gold deposit that is within that Brunungwari axis, and if you like, some part of Kafanchan and the likes of it, Kafanchan Kagoro axis. So if you check from, if you take from what the Kaduna State Governor said then, and then what the Zamfara State Governor did to take the gold that has already been harnessed to the President, and the visitation of the Minister for Power, Mines and Steel Development, as well as the contribution of the federal of the CBN, if you put all these things together, it will simply tell you that it is a federal government responsibility, but there is a communication gap between the federal government itself and the state government, as well as between the state government, the federal government, and the generality of Nigerians, to be able to know what is really happening, why is it happening, when is it going to happen, for what reason is it going to happen, for how long it will take for it to happen, and of what benefit will be to the state, to the nation, and to the region, if you like. Just like if you check, the oil producing region had a certain percentage that is being given to them. You know, that is, if you like, at the federal level, it's
particularly if there's a shift to the earlier arrangement. Why so?
Well,
I am talking about if there's a gap, it should be cleared so that Nigerians would actually understand.
That is what I am saying, the communication gap, and then there's just no reason for the communication gap. But I think somebody is being like a dasral with his job. Either somebody or some group of people are not really taking the job as they should take it. They are not really handling their responsibility the way they should handle it. Otherwise, all this communication gap and this halubalu wouldn't have been there. And this challenges to the government itself, and then giving some other part of the room for speculations and then agitations.
Yes.
Because there's already, apart from the speculation, there's already agitation. The Niger Delta youth are already saying if Zamfara is owning their gold, then we should also have a good reason to own our own oil.
Since we're looking at issues of crime,